Welcome to the I'm Book podcast. I'm April O'Leary, and this is the YouTube version of our podcast. To get the audio version, you can hop on over to Spotify or anywhere that you consume audio podcasts. We are going to jump into some really cool content, so stay tuned for our next guest. We look forward to connecting with you, and be sure to subscribe. And to start your author adventure, hop on over to o'learypublishing.com, where you can map out the entire process and see what writing a book would look like for you. Let's get started.
Good. Welcome back to the I'm Book podcast. I'm April O'Leary, your host, founder of O'Leary Publishing. And today I am excited that I have Roberta and Paige on, mother-daughter co-authors of the book She Looks Fine. And they do look fine if you can see them on video here. You'd swear they're sisters. But their book is about healing and hope through traumatic brain injury, through unexpected life circumstances, and being brave and coming to the other side with something good to share with others. So welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April.
So glad you're here. And your book is amazing. Such a great launch. The book launch was on September 9th, 7th? September 9th. And which was the 3-year anniversary since
4 year.
4-year. Oh my God.
Yep.
All my numbers are confused up in my brain. 4-year anniversary since Paige's accident. So Paige, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened 4 years ago?
Yeah. So even though it was 4 years ago, it definitely feels like it hasn't been that long. We've been constantly healing and things like that. I was actually hit by a car as a pedestrian 4 years ago while walking across a crosswalk. I was leaving work. I was serving, paying my way through college, and this unexpected incident led to my mom having to take me back into her home. I had to move back home. And by the grace of God, she decided to be my caregiver. So very thankful for
Roberta, what was that like for you?
Well, so the thing was that I had just become an empty nester, and I just moved into this amazing apartment, and I was ready to just really begin my life over. And 3 weeks after I had moved in here, I was in California, and we're in Cincinnati. So I was in California doing some training for hair extensions, and I received the call then. So that was the longest day ever. And I had to travel back home, not really knowing what was happening.
Yep.
And just instantly basically moved into the hospital with her.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
And had no idea what I was doing. I didn't understand her injuries. So, it was a little complicated at first, right?
And I, of course, didn't understand my injuries either. I was in so much pain. I was ready to die, honestly. I had no idea what was going on. I was pretty much in shock and denial about all of it. I honestly couldn't believe something like that had happened to me. I was going to school for public health. I've always been passionate about helping people, volunteering in my community and things. And it was such a shock to me to have something like that happen to me in my senior year of college education. Quite a shock.
Really a shock.
Yeah. And when I arrived at the hospital, she actually, that first evening, she had a smile on her face, and she was acting a little different, almost childlike, right? Like when I saw her, she was like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." So, and this was coming from a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
So I really did not know what was going on. Now, the next morning, I will tell you, everything changed. And it was very difficult to understand at that time, but she woke up with a splitting migraine and could not open her eyes, could not stand any noise, any light. And so, wow, that was, we didn't know at the time, we didn't understand that.
Yep.
But now I understand that there was more swelling
Yep.
on the brain and bleeding and bruising and all of these things that led to this excruciating migraine.
And the importance of, if you do have a traumatic brain injury, that first couple days, that first day, the first week, how important getting care is for your brain.
Yeah, because
and
you don't
rest.
know what the next really hour can bring.
Yep.
So here you are, both of you in this hospital room. And, you know, Paige, as someone who is, you know, healthy, young, vibrant lady who's getting her college degree, you know, waitressing, you know, doing a great job, like checking all the boxes in your life. And now you're in a hospital bed. And, you know, as far as the doctors and how they perceived what was going on, you know, it's interesting how, as a patient, advocating for yourself can be a challenge at times. So talk a little bit about that and what was going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, my mom had to make most of the decisions for me. I couldn't get to the bathroom by myself. I couldn't use the bathroom. I was not bathing myself. And I didn't get to make any decisions about when I used the restroom, when I was bathed, when I ate. Like, it was exactly what the nurses wanted on duty and what my mom wanted. So that's mostly a blur to me, but all I remember is, you know, really just not wanting to take the eye mask off, not wanting to do anything, and having really no say in anything that was going on. But I honestly, like I said, I was kind of just waiting to die. And I know that sounds so dramatic, you know, seeing me now sitting here. It's kind of hard to imagine me lying in a hospital bed 4 years ago, but I have done so much healing and, you know, just meditating and praying since then, and just healing my body and listening to my body every day. But when I was in that hospital bed 4 years ago, I was so broken, and I was really ready to die. So.
And so, Roberta, you stepped in a huge way as the caretaker, but, you know, as a mom, you know, and I'm a mom also, you know, seeing your kids in pain is the worst. You know, if we could take our pain away from our kids in a second, we would do it. I know most moms feel that way. And so you're kind of thrown in then as the advocate and into this hospital world. And how did you deal with that?
But not very well at first, I will tell you, because yes, the most difficult thing was seeing my daughter in that much pain and not being able to do a thing, not understanding the situation. I didn't know anyone that had ever been in this position before. So it was very, very difficult. And there are things that we look back now, like she said I was making a lot of the decisions, but then I remember her wanting the bed to lie down flat, and the nurses kept coming in and putting it back up. They're like, you cannot lie flat after you've had a head injury.
They locked my bed eventually.
So I said, well, that I was the one that said.
Oh, well, I didn't even know. See?
I said, just lock it. I'm like, don't give her the option, right?
And that was at the third hospital. So I started, you know, almost, you know, making maybe some decisions for myself at the third hospital. First hospital, I didn't move at all. But yeah, by the end there, I guess I started trying to lay down.
So it's unbelievable that, you know, going through 3 different hospitals and being in so much pain. And Roberta, part of the book, you talk about your experience as a caregiver. And that's sort of what led to the idea about the book, you know, years after this experience. And I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the manuscript and how Paige's involvement kind of became more, you know, she got more interested and more involved in the writing process, which I loved. But Roberta, talk a little bit about your ideas that you had to go through, the struggles you went through as a caregiver, and the things you didn't know about traumatic brain injuries that now you felt as though, I wish I had known X, Y. Like, what were some of those things that you went through?
Yeah. So the thing was, when after the third hospital, or at the third hospital, when we finally got everything under control, you know, you're like, woohoo, we're good to go home. Yay. Honestly, that's when the healing began. And that's where it got really difficult for me.
Mm.
I'm saying, okay, for both of us, like I had no idea. I thought once she was released from the hospital, we were like good to go. But we arrived home and oh wow. It was difficult. I was trying to get back to work and I was afraid to leave her.
I didn't need to be relieved. She left, like she had to, you really did have to stay and watch over me.
I had, my parents came over a lot. She wasn't driving for a while. My parents would take her to doctor appointments, to physical therapy. And
I had the insurance company. They would pick me up and take me to my appointments. Yeah.
I mean, it was, So I was just trying to get back and I'm self-employed, so I needed that money. And it was really, really difficult for a while. And it was hard for the next, I would say like almost 2 years. It was so confusing because you're thinking after that first, 6 months, we should be good to go, right? And it's like, she would try to begin something new, and then I could see she just was not really healing. And it was so confusing. And I'm telling you, I pushed her as hard as I could, and I don't mean that in a in a bad way, right? Encouraged, I shouldn't say push.
Encouraged, yes.
I encouraged her as much as possible to try to get back and get back to life as normal. But my goodness, I just didn't see that happening. And now I can't remember when I went into the support groups, when I began going to support groups, because then I started hearing people struggling with the same, caregivers also, right? So it was such a confusing time. And really, to be honest, I wanted everything to be normal again. I just wanted to go back to be normal, right? And it wasn't until this was actually last January, we actually took a trip to Florida, and that's when I knew she was not okay. And it was, I think, the flight, it was the exhaustion I saw in her. It was her brother came with her. And so, he was just perfectly like, hey, let's go. And here she was like, I just need to sleep. I just want to rest. And that's when I really noticed it. And I thought, nope, I can see it. And something is not right. She's not okay. And so that's when I began searching for like holistic options, alternative solutions, anything that I could do. And really, she had been eating great beforehand, right? So she's always, and that's your degree in health education. So, and she was vegetarian and eating very clean. And so after the accident, you did not, you got into some bad habits because you're just wanting pizza and milkshakes or whatever would make you happy.
And I was non-weight bearing on the foot.
And so,
eventually,
I cleaned up our nutrition here at home and started making a few changes. And that's when I knew too, that I started finding some things and I wanted to share that with everyone. And so that's when I had the idea that I was like, I need to get this out there somehow. And so I began meditating myself and had this vision of writing a book, which I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I had ever thought of in my life. I'm not a writer. I've been a hairstylist all my life, but I had been journaling since she was born. Didn't realize that this information, all of this journaling would turn into a book.
It's amazing, right?
Yes.
And I actually like to tell that part of the story too.
Tell it.
My mom started, I was not interested in writing a book. Let me just set the record straight. I did not want to put my public business out there. Me basically turning into, a 5-year-old child again and having to restart my life. And, I was so embarrassed by that in the beginning. And now I'm just so grateful for where I'm at in the position I'm at in life. But at the time, my mom started writing the book. She started writing the first chapter of the book, or started journaling or something. And she brought me these notes, these papers, and said, would you start typing this for me? And I said, okay, you're going to write a book. That's awesome. I love it. And I started reading it and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And I can see this book without even myself at all being an author in it. I could see what she had wrote, how that could come full circle into becoming a manuscript and becoming a book. And I was so excited for her. And we started it. And then that's later on how we were introduced to you. And, you guys convinced me to be a part of the book too, which I'm so grateful for. I definitely would not want to change that.
So, and so what happened was I thought this was going to be my book.
Yeah.
But as I'm writing it and as we're going through this journey in the last couple of years, I said, look, here's the thing. Everyone needs to hear your voice, because listening to my story is one thing, but we were not connecting. Like, we were butting heads.
Took a few years.
Time.
Yep.
Because I didn't understand. I thought she was being, I
Yep.
thought she was being lazy.
Yes.
And I thought she was very, just not so nice to me. I'll put it that way at times. And
Yep.
it was so aggravating. So when I could finally look inside, I don't know, it was something about that trip that we took and seeing you, that exhaustion. And when I finally looked at her and said, you're not okay. And I look around at her now and I can tell when she's not okay, because she has like neck wrap on and something on her forehead but she still has a smile on her face.
Always
blows me away.
Even in the hospital the first night. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, she's got a beautiful smile, so that's something.
Got it from her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Paige decided to jump aboard the book train.
Or I convinced her, or she, however that went. Yes.
Maybe it was a group effort. You guys, I think we had a Zoom call with you and our editor when we were actually in Florida. And just hearing all of your, Paige, you need to be a part of this book. And that's really what convinced me, which was crazy. I did not.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's what makes the book so unique and so powerful is that you not only have a caregiver perspective, but you have a patient perspective, and it's both. And it's a struggle on both sides of it, because I think as an outside person viewing in, you could see the person who got hit by the car as the person who's suffering and struggling. But when you see the caregiver and all they're doing to try to navigate a path and to try to, have compassion for the patient when they don't understand what's going on, and how, like you said, there were these times where you thought they were Paige was just being lazy or just not being nice. And it's like, and then realizing, oh, there's reasons why and what's going on, and the relationship the two of you had to build to get to the point you're at now.
Yep. And I just know that this book can help so many people who have suffered from a traumatic brain injury, who are a caregiver for someone with a traumatic brain injury, because or other, of course, but specifically on those two topics, like hearing both sides of the story, I know that could help so many people's lives that TBI has affected.
And I just want to say, so we've been doing book signings and we've spoke to a lot of people, but the thing is that there's so much confusion and misunderstanding about a TBI, and a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, is a concussion. A concussion is a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. And there are different levels of traumatic brain injury.
3 levels. Yep.
So
I had, mild, moderate to severe. I had a mild to moderate.
And
Traumatic brain
if
injury.
your symptoms last more than a few months, then it goes into a different category called PCS, post concussion syndrome. And so I will tell you, I can talk to someone almost every day and
diagnose.
Yeah.
Unprofessionally diagnose, anyone that's suffered a concussion, a jolt or blow to the head, if your symptoms persist.
And that's the thing, that's the misconception too, is that you don't have to even hit your head. Right. So it's just, well, the jolt going back and forth, right? Or yes,
whiplash.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah. So
it's bringing awareness to the prevalence of it and why people might have symptoms that they have, why they may be experiencing pain or other, we'll talk about a little bit of when you're saying non-professionally diagnosed, it's just saying I've been through something and I can recognize that in someone else. So if you're talking to someone, what are some of the things you might say that might help them understand maybe they have had that?
Yeah. Do you have brain fogginess? Do you need extra sleep? Do you think you need maybe a little more sleep than the average person in order to make it through your day? Do you suffer from headaches or migraines? Just like little things like this. So me personally, everything I just named, I still suffer from.
But so what it does is it lowers your immunity. So your immune system causes all these other issues in your body, but you're not seeing that. You don't understand why you're dealing with all of these issues. So there is definitely a lot of confusion there. And, we'll continue to do what we can to help others and do research on this. But I will tell you the writing process at the very end, when we were getting close to our deadline, I was a little nervous. Looking at her at her chapters.
Scrambled mess.
It was a scrambled mess. It was. And it all came together perfectly. And she sounds amazing in it. And she really put everything into it. But that's the thing with her, I see, is that she has to be in a good place. You have to feel good and to be able to finish that. So I'm
launching my first website. Actually, this is new news. It's the first time I'm releasing this news.
Hey.
So I actually designed my own merch for my singing career. So I just, did some t-shirts and hats and for me personally, I designed over 100, this kind of just explains, how I do my business. I designed over 100 products. I worked, hundreds of hours on this. And I personally will not release something until I'm 110% satisfied with it.
Okay, so she's very OCD now.
Professional.
Now listen, she was, I don't believe she was like that before. And that's another
symptom from PCS.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
I mean, extreme.
Yeah.
Like
I'm the one.
Congratulations on that. And tell us what the website is, just so we can make a plug for your new. Is it live?
It is not live yet. So I'm going to be launching here soon. I think this Friday, 11/11 is a great number. But that's a little too soon for my business.
Okay. But and I want to talk about, Roberta has a website, shelooksfinebook.com. And I'm just looking at it right now because it looks so great. And you can get an autographed copy of her book. And you can download a free preview of the book and you can see their beautiful headshots and their bios and keep up with what they're doing. So let's talk a little bit about the process of launching your book and your brand, because it's a really big deal to have an idea. First of all, to go through something really hard in your life is a big deal, but then to have this idea that, wait a second, maybe what I went through could help somebody else. And then a lot of people think that like maybe I could, but then to actually do it, to actually write and get out of your comfort zone and to start putting things together, and then just to challenge yourself, to put out, like you said initially, Paige, like, I don't want to share my private business with the public. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, that they get through something and they do it quietly and then they forget about it and move on.
Yep.
But I think that by having the courage is what it really is, to take your story and know that I didn't suffer this to just reinvent myself possibly, but maybe it's because I'm going to help a lot of other people. And so, Roberta, you were the first one who kind of had that idea and grasped onto the courage to do it. So how did you really do that at the beginning for yourself? How did you coach yourself up to say, I think I could do this?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So honestly, after, I guess we had been in this was in 2020. So almost 2 years, about a year and a half or so after her accident. And I was not in a good place. Right. So here I am. I felt like I was trying to do everything. I wanted her to feel better. And I hit a point, I would say it was rock bottom. Okay. And that's when you say, I am not going to live this way. And I had to change my thinking. I had to go in and dig deep and say, look, I choose to look at everything in a different light now. And we're going to take this as a, I guess, learning experience, or what good can I bring out of this?
Yep.
And so everything began to change very slowly at first, but my thinking, I went from more of a positive thinking and,
and how did you have a moment of sort of, for lack of a better word, come to Jesus moment, where it was a conversation with a friend, or was it in a moment of quiet, or was it you were reading a book, or how did it really come to you where you made that shift for yourself?
So there was a day, we live right on the river here, and I walk down to the river all the time. That's my peaceful time. And I remember being at a point where I was just like, I'm done. Okay. Because I had been in so much fear and had so much anxiety, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not doing any good for me. This is not helping us at all. And I needed to be in a good point in my life so that I could be a better caretaker for her. And so I started digging in and taking care, because you have to take care of yourself as a caretaker too. And you don't do that. I mean, but you need to. And so this trip, actually the Florida trip 2 years ago, I went for a week by myself, and I did not turn on the TV. I didn't even turn on the radio. I brought books with me. I spent that time, and I just in quiet and peace and being right on the ocean. I love being by the water. And so it was so peaceful. And that's when, and then Paige and her brother came down for a few days to visit, but that's when everything hit me too, because I could see she was not okay. But I had been just read A Purpose-Driven Life again by Rick Warren. And I had read it years ago, but it didn't affect me the way it did now. Right. So then I came back, and actually I felt this notion that I needed to be baptized again. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
I love that you're sharing this. This is beautiful.
So I did. I was baptized again, and my beautiful girl, she was with me for the whole thing, and it was very special. And I know that I had been baptized as an infant, but it was something that I just wanted. I just felt like I wanted to do it. I wanted a fresh start, a new beginning. And from there, that's when everything started happening.
We can look through, our camera roll and see the progression over the past 4 years. And it's just, it's crazy. And I think every successful business is one that helps other people. I don't think, you should be making money if you're not helping people as well. So that's kind of how we developed our businesses, which we have, multiple things going on right now. But it was all about healing ourselves and helping heal other people. And not only traumatic brain injuries, like this book is about redefining yourself as a person
Mhm.
and
Yes.
connecting within and connecting to God, first and foremost, becoming, we have gratitude journals, we meditate every day, we take Epsom salt baths, like just the craziest things. We have so many alternative therapies. We went to the baths that have like 18,000 pounds of Epsom salt in them.
Okay.
So just absolutely insane.
But it's healing.
It's healing from physically, mentally, and emotionally, the accident and before the accident too. And I think something my mom and I want to do so bad, we just want to scream it from the mountaintops, is we just want to help the world. I mean, it literally brings tears to my eyes. Like, I just want everyone to be happy and to love themselves and to live their absolute best life. Like, I think that's what we both want.
And so even though this book, okay, a few things. Number one, the title was going to be Invisible Injury. Okay.
Yep.
Invisible injuries. She has other injuries besides a traumatic
Still
brain
today.
injury. Yes. Besides a traumatic brain injury.
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you that I can run into someone almost daily that is going through maybe a similar situation. And so the more I looked at this, they kept saying to me, they're like, well, she looks fine.
Yeah.
You know what? She looks fine. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's when the title came to me. And I feel like that speaks for so many of us. So many of us.
It's not everyone,
Female
has,
and male,
yes,
that have something that we're maybe hiding or trying to cover up, or just not wanting to, I don't know, people that don't complain, just want to look at things in a positive way. But this book, I want people to see that we really did have, hit rock bottom, but where we came from there.
Yep.
How we rose up and how we just decided, and we're going to be growing. I'll be growing for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And just every day, if you suffer from physical, mental, or emotional pain, just staying positive about it. That's probably my best gift of advice for anyone, is just, I'm sitting here, I do have a migraine. I have neck pain, low back pain. I don't have much foot pain right now, but down my left leg, I have nerve damage. And the best advice I can give is just stay positive. The more positive thoughts you have, the better day you're going to have. If I need some extra sleep that day, I'll sleep in an extra hour, but I'm going to get up and, be positive and be proactive.
You still get everything done that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that was, it was really difficult because she does sleep in later. And so that was really difficult for me, but now I understand, I accept it. I respect that. Okay. Because I understand that, but, I have to go back on one thing. So everyone's probably wondering where this singing came from. And I just
I wanted to bring that up as well.
I was like,
and
like,
that's something we haven't touched on, and I will, in the intro here, we've talked about your bio, which you didn't hear because I always start the show like right at the beginning, but everyone who's listening knows that you are a recording artist. But tell us how it all started.
So basically, yes, I always say that she has been born with a microphone in her hand, but I mean, that's not something that you think you're going to pursue. And I don't know, it just wasn't something that we really took seriously. But I will tell you this, after the accident, she was going through such a depression. And it was so difficult. I mean, she was so quiet. She would barely come out of her room. It was the first month or two was really, really hard. And so
no visitors on top of that.
And so, I mean, there was
isolation.
nothing. And so, and she had nerve damage on her left leg and her foot. So that's why she wasn't driving. I said, and I saw this guitar sitting here that I had bought for her a few years back. And I said, how do you feel about maybe taking guitar lessons? Because I needed to find something for her to do that she loves. anything. I would have done anything.
Mhm.
So, do you want to tell them about?
Yeah. So first, the red flag that popped up. I also had not been cleared by my neurologist to drive. I see a puppy,
Kitty.
a kitty,
Okay.
kitty.
Yeah.
I had to be cleared by OSU Wexner Center to actually drive as well. So there was multiple reasons why I wasn't driving. I wasn't communicating with people. I had a lot of issues going on. But basically, long story short, I have always been passionate about music. I've always loved music. I took piano lessons. I was in band. I played flute. I was more committed to choir. So I did 8 years of choir, 4 in middle school, 4 in high school, which is a little unheard of.
Yeah.
Actually say that dedicated. Even in middle school, I think we wrote it in the book. I was waking up at 5, 6 in the morning. I had to get to school an hour before the other students to do choir practice. I've loved to sing. We talk about it in the book, growing up, all of the different types of gymnastics, dance classes, singing classes. My mom always put me in those classes. She knew that I had so much fun and definitely had some sort of gift. It wasn't until actually about a month or two, maybe prior to the accident, I went to a concert. It influenced me. It was Drake and Migos, RIP, Takeoff, extremely sad. But basically, I started writing music after that concert, and I've always loved to do cover songs and this and that, but it wasn't until that concert, my accident then happened, and then I started writing even more music after the accident. It was quite depressing, very sad. I would actually just come sit out back and just write and cry. So that was a very healing experience for me. I've always loved to journal and things like that. It later progressed into me writing, happier, upbeat songs, led to Fearless, which dropped with the book. I'm hoping to perform with you this year. But basically, yeah, I just developed sort of a music career, and I've had a lot of amazing mentors come into my life by the grace of God, just one by one as I've needed them. And we've really just created our businesses and my music career. So I was blessed to travel all summer. I went to Atlanta a few times, Las Vegas. I really traveled all across the US, such a blessing. And I know it's only going up from here. I just hit my 1,000 followers on Spotify yesterday.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. They play me in Cincinnati on the radio stations every single week, and they play me across the US as well. So I'm beyond blessed, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. I plan on making it to the top personally. And I just want to inspire the world. I just want to tell people that they can do anything that they want. And I know that me personally and my music team has influenced people who have always wanted to start a music career to start one. And that's so exciting. People that are, in the Army and the Navy, went to school, got a college education, all of these different things. I see them pursuing music, and that makes me so happy because it's really what they want to do. I just encourage anyone to do exactly what they want to do.
We honestly, we need like 2 shows.
Pretty much.
I know, we need to keep going. So I sitting here watching you guys, and I have 3 daughters.
Mhm.
And what really just stirs my heart so much is to see the bond you 2 have and what's been created like out of this. I don't know what you guys were like as a mother-daughter duo before the accident, and had the accident not happened, maybe you both would have been on your own paths. Paige maybe would have finished her college degree in nutrition and done her own thing. Maybe you wouldn't be singing, and Roberta, you might be doing something totally different. And here you guys are pursuing this dream of helping people and, using your creative talents and making the world a better place. And you had to go through a lot of pain and trauma to get here.
Mhm.
And so it sounds like the message, from what you're sharing, Paige, and Roberta, certainly what is the core message of She Looks Fine is that, your pain doesn't have to define you. It can be that pivotal point at which you get to change. You get to find that positive spin on it, which you've done, and you get to choose that. Like you chose that for yourself. And I think that's such a powerful thing to say, I can't live like this anymore. I'm tired of all the anxiety and the stress, and like having that sort of moment of clarity. And, there's lots of moments of clarity in life that we get, and we can choose to ignore them and do continue complaining, but you did.
Yeah. And I was very fortunate that I actually also brought this mentor into my life, Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
And he was in The Secret.
All right.
And he just, I joined his program. Listen, and honestly, when I joined this last year, I had no money. I thought, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. And as you can tell, this has totally turned our lives around. And the crazy thing is, I have another book coming out, being released on this Friday, 11/11, and it is my year with Bob. It's a tribute to Bob Proctor, and so I have a chapter in there called Becoming Fearless.
Yes,
I love it. I love it.
And
when you start taking the creative blocks out, and you start tapping into like that inner source of creativity and drive and power, that comes from above, really. And that's what you said as well. It's like finding the source. It's not knowing, it's not about you. It's not about like, how can I, move the pieces on the board and make things happen. It's saying like, I'm so grateful for 1,000 followers. I got there, and I know there's more. I know there's more for me to do. And you both have that in spades. Like you have that trust in what, your higher source is producing for you. So to become an author twice in 2 months.
And because all of this, because Bob paved the way for so many people. It's this ripple effect. And look at what he's done for me. This has Paige has embraced so much of this information that I've learned.
Yes.
But now it's time for me to share with others. I see how I have totally changed my life.
Yeah.
And so I am starting my mentoring program as well, because it is since my purpose in life, talking about the purpose-driven life, that book, and how now I really feel like I know what my purpose is in life, and I am so passionate about it. I've always been passionate about it.
Yeah.
And she kept telling me, this is what you're going to do. And I'm like, pretty sure.
I'd be like, you're going to be a motivational speaker. Like, I know you've been doing hair, but like, she also, her entire career of being a hairstylist, she takes care of people. She takes care of not just their hair, their physical, their mental and emotional as well. I come in and say hi to her in the salon. She's always taking care of people, motivating people to achieve their goals and dreams. I mean, she was already doing it. So to bring that to paper, I'm just so impressed. So impressed.
Well, and we feel like it is our obligation to share this with others, because our lives have been changed forever.
We've been watching The Secret since I was in middle school. Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 years, 15, 20 years. There's no date on it to understand your purpose, but I will say, I do believe God does everything for a reason. I believe I've always been passionate about 2 things, public health and music. And I'm so glad I went ahead and, finished my degree and got my public health degree. That was just such an accomplishment to go ahead and get that diploma first off. But second off, my mom and I bring public health to all of our platforms. Even when we're talking about like mental health and things, we talk about nutrition too.
Right.
So everything has come together so well. I couldn't be more happy, and I just couldn't be more thankful to God, honestly.
So I want to just wrap up by saying thank you both for trusting us to help you start your journey with authorship And I absolutely think your book turned out amazing. The amount of love that you poured into it, that you dedicated to your editorial journey and the design and branding and all of the pieces. I mean, what goes on behind the scenes for an author to launch is a lot. And for them to really embrace that journey and to pay it forward in such a big way is, such a blessing to have been part of that journey with you. Be sure that you go to shelooksfinebook.com, download the preview, please get a signed copy. They're going to be worth $1 million someday.
That's right.
And or find Paige on Spotify, where you can hear her latest music. It's in all caps, Paige, and you can follow her. And she does a great job on Instagram as well. What's your Instagram handle, Paige?
My Instagram and Facebook handle and YouTube is @IamPaigeOfficial_.
Okay. I am Paige Official. And Roberta is also on Instagram and does a great job with her Instagram lives and videos. She's on Facebook as well. And where can people find you on the socials?
So on Instagram, I am SheLooksFineOfficial. And on Facebook, it's Roberta Knechtly. When we spell, are you going to type it in?
You'll have the link in the show notes.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to pick up this book. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be in awe of who they are. You're going to see them shine through the pages of the book, just like they've shined throughout this interview, because that's who they are. They resonate from their heart outwards. And I think that's what really makes a good author. And what makes someone magnetic is that they really, really own their message, and they know that it comes from a place that's beyond them. And you guys certainly have done that. So thank you both for being on today. Paige, when you get your website live, I'll also put that in the show notes so people can hop over there as well. Any final words for anyone who's thinking about taking their pain and putting it out into a book, or making their, their public appearance with their ability to pay it forward? Any words of advice?
Can we first say thank you so much, April, for not only having us today, but making our dream come to life. There is no other publishing company that could have, it makes me want to cry. That could, I might cry. That did what you can. Yeah, now I'm getting emotional.
Well, you're going to make me cry now. But listen, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just fortunate that a friend referred me to you guys, because I could never have done this on my own.
No.
So thank you.
And your company, you have such a purpose. Your company has such a purpose to positively influence this world. And you were a gift from God for us.
Yeah.
So thank you to you and everyone on the team.
And I also have to say, which I almost forgot, you can see Roberta speaking live on our stage at Naples coming up on March 17th, 2023. And Paige will be performing her single Fearless.
Yes.
Downtown Naples at the North Center on March 17th, 2023. So there's no excuse why anywhere you live in this country, Naples in March is a beautiful place to be. Get out of the snow for a weekend and come bask in the sun and the beach and see some authors and meet Paige and Roberta, get a signed copy of their books and some photos. It's such a great event. It's such a great time. I can't wait to see you on the stage, Roberta, and Paige again. Paige, we were fortunate to have Paige perform at our very first inaugural event this past February. So
what a success.
To have you back.
You had so many people there. We had 2 stories of people. I got on that stage. I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know people were going to be above me. It was an amazing event, April. I'm beyond impressed.
So thank you for the nice kudos. That's really sweet. And it's so reciprocal. We adore you both. We love you both. And we're so grateful to have been part of it. So be sure to check out the show notes to get over to shelooksfinebook.com. Follow them on socials. We'll put it there. Pick up a copy of the book, and be sure to follow Paige's bursting music career, and watch Roberta's consulting and her mentorship and all of the programs that she's going to be launching as well, which will be, I'm sure, updated on the website as things are coming about. And
absolutely, yes. And you never know, I just may have to write another book, because there's something when you have, everyone has a story to tell. So
Good.
and-
You're going to
and
touch
talking-
on that.
Yes.
Good.
And touching about writing a book, I tell people, I say, just start writing, just start
Mhm.
journaling, just
Mhm.
start, when I first began this, it was all just putting things down on paper. Right.
Mhm.
And so it is, if I can do it, you can do it. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I had zero experience of, look, I did not go to college.
There you go.
You, and I'm sure
That should
listening
encourage
to me
people.
but speak sometimes, she's probably like, oh, it probably hurts for me. But hey, that doesn't matter. You have a story to tell,
Yep.
and there are people that need to hear your story.
Mhm.
That's it, because you can help others. And what happens in the meantime is that you heal,
Yes.
because writing this book was so healing,
Mhm.
right?
And people are going to hate on you regardless if you're putting your heart out there or not. So you might as well just go for it. Just go for it.
That's an inspirational statement if I've ever heard it. People are going to hate on you no matter what, so you may as well put yourself out there.
Pretty
I
much.
love it.
Anybody that hates on you or says, you shouldn't be doing this or that, that's something that they have covered up, that they actually want to show to the world too. So absolutely never take that, somebody attacking you or whatever. Just honestly pray for them.
Yeah.
Just wish them the best, and just, you don't even need to reply. So
Yeah.
go
Well,
ahead and put your heart out there.
yeah.
You guys are so great. You're right. We could keep going and going because we
I
have
know.
so much to talk about. But I will say, if you're listening to this podcast right now, whenever it is, if it's before March 17th of 2023, get on your Expedia account and book a plane ticket and come to Naples so you can be a part of this event. You won't want to miss it. Thank you, Roberta and Paige, for being a part of the podcast today. Love you both dearly. So excited about your book. She looks fine. Be sure to pick up your copies today. And I'm wishing everyone an amazing week.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
So this has been another episode of the iBook podcast. I'm April O'Leary signing off. Be sure to hop on over to o'learypublishing.com to start your author adventure and see what writing a book could do for you in your profession, in your career, and what doors it might open. We thank our guests for being a part of the show today, and be sure to subscribe to podcasts here on YouTube. We look forward to serving you and helping you get your book out into the world.